Will the guests please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the national anthem. The national anthem will be sung by Ensign Maya Solis and Lieutenant Junior Grade Madeline Prince. NPTU Charleston, attention. Huh. Nuclear Power Training Unit, Charleston, arriving. Director, Military Personnel Plans and Policy Division, arriving.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled
Please remain standing for the invocation by Chief Robles.
Good morning. Eternal and loving God, we humbly bow our heads and lift our hearts to you in thanksgiving for the grand accomplishment of these sailors gathered together today in this graduation. God, it was you that put into their hearts of these graduates to join the world's greatest navy and pursue the path of a nuke, leading them to Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston. It was you, O God, that infused these graduates with grit and grace to not only excel in their studies, but to navigate through the numerous challenges they encountered on their journey that has culminated in this graduation. O merciful Lord, remember and bless the families near and far who believed in and supported this graduating class, as well as the instructors and staff of our training unit who help guide them to success. And as this class prepares to go out into the fleet at the tip of the spear, wherever they are assigned, help them know that you, O God, will go before them and stand with them as the one who orders our steps and props us up on every leaning side, so that no error becomes eternal, no fall becomes fatal, and no problem is more powerful than your grace to bring us through. We ask all these things in the name that is above all every name. Amen.
Please be seated. NPTU Charleston, at ease. Admiral Waters, Rear Admiral Moore, Captain Kep, Ward Training Ship 701, Commander Sologowski, Site Command Master Chief Montello, distinguished guest, family, friends, welcome to Naval Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston graduation ceremony for Class 2301. My name is Commander John Fitzpatrick. I'm the Executive Officer for NPTU. We're very pleased that you could join us today as we recognize the sailors who dedicated so much of their time and effort in this final phase of their training. While we will recognize some of the students who stand out from their peers, it is important to remember that each student dedicated thousands of hours in pursuit of this moment. Today is the accomplishment of our sailors as they complete the Naval Nuclear Propulsion Training Pipeline. Please join me in a round of applause for our families, friends, and shipmates who have played a large part in our sailors' success. You have our heartfelt thanks. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston Commanding Officer. Captain Reed Kep is a career submarine officer, has had command of the USS Colorado and is now in his major command tour here at Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston. Captain Kep.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. All right, we'll do this South Carolina style like we did last one. Good morning, y'all. All right, good. This is an impressive group. Yeah. Hey, I think that national anthem was super impressive. What do you think? Like, great job. Hey, well, I just want to say welcome to everybody. I want to give a few shout outs, maybe a little bit of education about what we do at Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston and our pipeline, and maybe get to know you a little bit. So first, let me just give a shout out and say thank you to this Patriot Point staff for allowing us to use this venue. I can't think of a better place that's more fitting to send our graduates today out to go to our submarines and aircraft carriers and instructor positions in our fleet than from the hangar bay of the USS Yorktown. They allow us to do this every 8 weeks, and they just do an outstanding job. So thank you to Patriot Point staff. I would also like to give a shout out to my staff. So at Nuclear Power Training Unit Charleston, we have around 1,400 active duty military staff, and those are handpicked and screened from our C commands, and they come to my command and they go through a robust qualification process to requalify on the plant. Then they get master training specialists and instructor certifications so that they can do their job in training the next group of graduates. And we operate 3 critical nuclear reactors, a large amount of facilities and high-fidelity simulation equipment to accomplish this. And we operate our site 24/7, 365, and that even includes on Christmas. So my staff right now is they're working right now while we're here enjoying our morning to get the next group of sailors through. So again, about every 8 weeks, about 400 plus or minus sailors and officers come through our program. And so I'd just like to give a shout out to our staff for the hard work that they do. And yes, graduates, I'm looking at you, and many of you will come back and be staff here, right? Yes, heads up and down. Yeah, you love it. Okay, great. Okay, so that is exciting. Hey, I would like to acknowledge, or just do a little bit of education here. So, who is graduating today? So we got groups of officers and sailors. Our officers, what you'll see is a group of surface warfare officers or nuclear trained officers. They've already done a tour on a non-nuclear combatant where they got their warfare qualification, did a DIVO tour there. They've now achieved their nuclear certification. We'll go do a DIVO tour on an aircraft carrier somewhere around the world. We also have our other groups of officers that will be heading to various submarines, either fast attack submarines, ballistic missile submarines, or guided missile submarines that are located around the world. All of these officers will be either in a deployed status or perhaps in a deployment workup period or in a major maintenance availability, getting the next crew ready to take that ship out and do our Navy's mission. So we're excited for what they're signed up to do. There's also a group of direct input officers. These are officers that are recruited from college, and they've committed to they've made a 5-year commitment to go through the nuclear power training pipeline, and then they will work at Nuclear Power Training Unit with me for 5 years, instructing the next generation of sailors. So I'm really proud of their commitment. For our enlisted staff, you will see various rates or specialties. Those are reactor operators who indeed operate our reactor plants, our electricians mates, which operate our load distribution systems and other services as well. Our nuclear mechanics who operate our propulsion turbines and various mechanical equipment. And from that group, many will be selected to be engineering laboratory technicians. You'll hear the term ELT. They come back to the schoolhouse with me after today for a few weeks of specialized training in chemistry controls, which they'll learn the specifics of how to control our primary plant and our secondary plant chemistry to specification, and that helps us maintain the integrity of our reactor plants. So very, very important jobs. Now let me tell you a little bit about the opportunities that they have. So some will be going to perhaps a nuclear field weld school after this en route to their first ship. Some will be attending a propulsion plant local area network school, so think networking or LAN inside the propulsion plant. Many have put in for officer applications, and some have went through what we call our Seaman to Admiral process, where they can get selected and go to a participating university to finish a college degree and receive a commission as an officer. A few have put in packages to be selected for the U.S. Naval Academy, and many of our sailors report here already with a college degree. And many of them can apply to get a direct commission through the Officer Candidate School program, and some of them you'll see here have done that today. So there's lots of opportunities, and we want to give that framework for professional and personal development for our sailors. And I want you as the parents to know that, and the family and the spouses, I want you to know that so you're fully informed. Last thing I want to tell you about from an education perspective is a lot of the sailors today will be walking across the stage with an extra stripe or a chevron. And what they did was they participated in a program called Star Reenlistment, which is available for our nuclear sailors. Once they meet the nuclear qualifications, they meet the certain time criteria, they have an opportunity to reenlist upon qualification, and that allows them immediate promotion to E5, the next rank, or second class petty officer, allows them an opportunity to live in town, receive housing allowance, and there's a sizable bonus with that. It's a great career move, it's a great decision. And I'm really proud of those that have made that decision. There's many that will meet those criteria as they transition out to the fleet, so I want you to know about that so you can encourage and educate your team and your family along the way. Okay, so that's a lot of education, right? Okay, so welcome to nuclear power. We throw it all out there and hope you get it. That's a lot. Okay, hey, let me just get to know you. Well, first, let me give a shout out to a few of you in the crowd. So if you're a veteran and you're willing and able, would you please stand so we can acknowledge you? Thank you. Okay, now, if you are a spouse of somebody graduating today, if you're willing and able, I'd appreciate it if you would stand. Thank you. And I really just can't say enough or thank you enough for what you do. You are a warrior also as you go through this process with us. I've watched through the years you volunteer in the community, family readiness group, ombudsman. I've watched you in the shadows help other families adjust to a major move, help kids and other families get through their deployments. And you just do that out of the goodness of your heart and just to help our team along. So your service is very important. I just want to thank you for standing and letting us acknowledge you. Okay, just to get to know the crowd just a little bit more before we get on to what you're really here for. So I want to, this is really impressive how many of you are here. And I really would like to know who came from the farthest away. So who thinks they got this? This is interactive, by the way. Oregon. What was that? Oregon as well, all right. Washington, all right. What was that? Philippines, all right. We got a challenger for Philippines. Bahrain. Okay, Bahrain. All right, got it. Okay, all right. Thank you. There's always somebody from Texas that says Texas, even though Texas is not as far away as Bahrain, just so you know. All right. Right, Master Chief? He's from Texas, so I always like to pick on him a little bit. Hey, look, again, clearly shows your investment in your family and our nation. I just want to thank you for that. Before I introduce our guest speaker, here's something that your sailors told me before this ceremony. So they told me they love their family, and they love when their family calls them out, embarrasses them. They said they love phrases like, "That's my sailor," "I love my sailor." They said they love nicknames, okay? They love them. I just ask that you keep it PG, okay? So we're going to give you an opportunity to come up here and take a photo of your sailor. I want you to have a good time with it. Thanks for being here. This is about you and about them. So anyway, without further ado, please allow me to introduce our guest speaker. He's a dear friend, a mentor, and shipmate. In fact, he was my commanding officer when I was a department head on USS Virginia. It just means the world to me that he is here and he's supporting this. And I would like to introduce Rear Admiral Jim Waters. He is a career submariner as well. He had command of the fast attack submarine USS Virginia. He was a Commodore of Submarine Squadron 4. He's held various flag positions to include Submarine Group 2. And now he is the Director of Manpower, Navy Manpower, Personnel, and Policy. And I would like to introduce Rear Admiral Jim Waters. Thank you.
Well, good morning. It is great to be here. I'm probably not quite as happy as the students will be, or the graduates will be when this is all said and done, but it is great to be here. And I do want to highlight, Captain Kep talked about the fact that we shared some time on Virginia, but it is an amazing thing to be up here. When I was Commander Waters in command of USS Virginia, Lieutenant Kep was my navigator, literally keeping me out of trouble. And we actually breathed the same air for 2.5 years. So he's a dear friend, a dear shipmate. And for the parents out there, just know that my dad pride is swelling as I think about being up here with Major Commander Captain Reed Kep. So thank you, Reed. I do appreciate the kind introduction and the invitation to speak today. It's great to be here to join you aboard the historic USS Yorktown here at Patriot's Point in beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. I'm honored to be a small part of this really big day, standing before these incredibly high-performing sailors, the very future of our Navy. For the families in the audience, thank you for supporting your sailors. You can be justifiably proud of their incredible accomplishment in completing the U.S. Navy's Naval Nuclear Propulsion Training Program. There is no other like it anywhere in the world. It is incredibly rigorous, with tough, hands-on individual skills, team-focused practical evolutions, and exacting academic development. For the sailors that are here graduating, think of where you all started when you arrived in Charleston. Today, you are qualified to operate a floating nuclear power plant. Congratulations to you. I encourage the families here today to listen to their enthusiasm and their pride and know that that as they graduate, even greater successes await them in the fleet, because there they truly become a part of something bigger than themselves. Ever since Commander Eugene Wilkinson signaled underway on nuclear power from USS Nautilus on January 17, 1955, naval nuclear power has changed the world. And think about that. We're sitting on Yorktown, which helped bring an end to World War II in 1945. Less than 10 years after that war ended, when we think back to movies about the war, how far away it seems, nuclear-powered submarines were plying the oceans. That's how fast it happened. It's incredible. From that day in 1955, our nuclear submarines have roamed the world's oceans untethered to the surface above. Shortly after that, with the advent of USS Enterprise in 1962, nuclear power unshackled our aircraft carriers from shore-based fuel bunkers, allowing them to roam farther and faster, a truly game-changing capability. And the graduating sailors here today are a part of that same nuclear legacy. With it, we can assure our national leadership that decisive American combat power is available to respond to any crisis anywhere in the world at any time. With it, we can also ensure that adversarial leaders around the world, people like China's Xi Jinping, North Korea's Kim Jong-un, and Russia's Vladimir Putin, never really know where American undersea combat power is, and they are always unsure if we could be watching or within striking range every day of every year. They never really know when an American aircraft carrier could be on the horizon. You, graduates, are now part of that asymmetric American advantage. Assurance for our president, and uncertainty and worry for our adversaries. Welcome to the elite level. Although frequently misapplied in our world today, I use the word elite here with clear intent. Only a tiny fraction of our society even qualifies to enter this program, and even fewer finish, as these graduates have. No one else in the world can do what you can now do for the safety and security of your fellow citizens. As volunteers from all parts of our country, you will give back to your nation in a way that is collectively grand in scale, yet individual in application. Through your grit, initiative, and technically demanding effort, you will ensure that our submarines and aircraft carriers deter American adversaries and assure American allies around the world. This is true whether you are operating your reactor plant to launch strike aircraft off the coast of a hostile land, or hundreds of feet under the surface on the hunt for an adversary submarine, or even if you are repairing or refitting a reactor in the shipyard in order to return your ship to the unbroken chain of naval nuclear presence around the world. You will make an incredible difference. Now, while all of that is truly amazing, I know that many of the sailors standing in the back, the graduates, still have some very important lingering questions. What can they expect when they get to the fleet? And what will the fleet expect of them? So rather than lay out some principles for life that will be probably quickly forgotten, I thought I would give you my best, most direct answers to those fairly straightforward questions. Answers based on personally walking in your shoes, although it was a few years, really a few decades, 3 ago, and also in leading many who have also walked your path. So, what can you expect when you get to the fleet? First, you will find a culture that values hard work. There is much to do to ensure that our nuclear propulsion plants are ready. The standards are incredibly high, and there is no bandwidth to carry slackers. You will be judged by the character of your actions and the value you bring to the team. That may sound harsh, but it is the cold truth. And it is part and parcel of being a member of an elite team, so embrace it. Second, you will join a team that has a bit of a tough edge to it. But they truly want you to succeed. They want your success because they're empathetic in having walked your exact path. And they are practical in knowing that your success helps them all to distribute the workload. No matter how tough your new team seems, at their core, they want you to be successful. Now, that is not to say that you will not run into a few bitter pills out there. Sailors who have faced challenges and not responded well. My best advice, don't attach yourself to them. They are not who you are, and they are not who we are. Remember the value you bring and the warrior toughness you have developed, and know that should lead you to seek a more positive kinship within your team. Third, you can expect to be immersed in a culture that speaks boldly and openly about their failures and honestly seeks to learn from them. You will see sailors, officers and enlisted, openly admitting when they err, and then working with their team to fix what went wrong. You must be like that. And now that I've told you a little bit about what you can expect, let me shift gears for the final few moments and give you some insight into what you should expect, or what the fleet will expect of you. First, you will be expected to work hard to qualify and contribute quickly. That should be no surprise. Expect that there will be myriad requirements to complete a check-in, begin nuclear watch and maintenance quals, and even start the process of earning your warfare pin. The bottom line is that the sooner you can effectively carry some of your team's workload, the sooner you are truly an integrated member of the team. Now that may sound intimidating, but rest assured that because you proved your mettle here, you can do it in the fleet. Second, you will be expected to self-start. This really is adulting on steroids. I cannot emphasize enough that you must not sit passively waiting for whatever comes next. Find the need and fill it. Grab the qual card and work on it. Find the scary first class who has been there forever and ask them for the checkout. Don't wait. Your reputation as a go-getter will smooth your path and earn the respect of those whom you join. Third, you will be expected to learn from your mistakes. Your character will be tested when you have to admit that you misunderstood a step in the procedure or did not properly prepare for a brief. But that is not really the hard part. We expect nothing less. The hard part is how you respond going forward. You must do the work to learn from your mistakes, regain your confidence, and hold your head up as you re-enter the fray. That is what the fleet expects. That is what earns respect. And that is what makes our Navy the greatest maritime fighting force in the world. So over a few short minutes, I have highlighted the incredible nature of your accomplishments in completing naval nuclear power training. I talked from my experience about what you can expect in the fleet and what the fleet expects of you. Now, it is up to you. You join an unbroken chain of excellence, a culture of impeccable standards, and enduring success. This is your time. No one else anywhere in the world is more ready than you to begin this journey today. Remember where you've come from and the values and skills you have learned through this program. When the challenges and the pressure to bow before it come, do not falter. You are a part of an incredible team that will support you. You contribute to a worthy mission, and you are ready. Now go out there and get it done right. Hoo-yah, Navy nukes, go get them.
Thank you, Admiral. It is now my pleasure to introduce Mr. Jim Offutt, a retired Navy commander who has flown more than 200 missions over Vietnam and who has actually landed and launched aircraft over the very flight deck over our heads right now. He's the president of the Charleston Council and past president of the National Navy League.
Thank you very much for having me today. It's my pleasure on behalf of the Navy League to represent our people who support the Navy, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Merchant Marine. Our mission is to support, and we're doing this in morale and welfare. We advocate through our legislative process for the budgets, and we educate through our digital and public medium for the advocacy of sea power. So we are citizens in support of the maritime services, and anyone who wishes to continue to serve is welcome to join us. Admiral, thank you for mentioning the Enterprise. It's one of my, or is, or was one of my favorite platforms to land on. And we aviators very much appreciate those of you who are joining the nuclear-powered Navy to keep our carriers moving fast, because we need them. So thank you very much. It's my pleasure now to present an award to an outstanding graduate.
The Navy League Award is presented to the first student on each moored training ship to qualify as a nuclear operator. For MTS 701, that is MMN3 Aya Samaha. The Commanding Officer's Personal Excellence Award is presented to the sailor chosen from each crew who exhibits the greatest degree of professionalism. The selection criterion for this award takes into consideration student effort, motivation, adaptability, personal development, and performance of duty. One more time, please, guests, feel free to come up and take pictures of your sailors as they come across the stage. The following sailors are the winners of the Commanding Officer's Personal Excellence Award. EMN3 Brandon Bone will stay here as a junior staff instructor. EMN3 Richard Weber, headed to USS Theodore Roosevelt. ETN3 Jacob Homer, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. MMN3 Jamie Sanchez, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. MMN3 Tamara Wright, headed to ELT school. And now, the rest of Class 2301 for the MTS 711. MMN3 Alexander Abraham, headed to USS Maine. MMN3 Spencer Allfrey, headed to ELT school. ETN3 Patrick Anderson, headed to USS Washington. MMN3 Lydia Andre, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. EMN3 Holden Armstrong, headed to USS Greenville. MMN3 Marco Ayala, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. ETN3 Cale Ayers, headed to USS Minnesota. MMN3 Jonathan Barr Trevino, headed to USS Carl Vinson. Ensign David Benson, headed to USS Columbus. MMN3 Paul Bradley, headed to USS Arkansas. MMN3 Alexander Brock-Votny, headed to USS Carl Vinson. MMN3 Angel Burgueño, headed to USS Hartford. MMN3 Jace Kabatigan, headed to ELT school. MMN3 Ulysses Caballo, headed to USS Carl Vinson. EMN 3 Jose Caceres, headed to USS Montpelier. MMN 3 David Caceres, headed to USS Vermont. Ensign Jack Carminati, headed to USS North Dakota. Ensign Christopher Caron. MMN 3 Jose Carrillo, headed to USS Theodore Roosevelt. EMN 3 Mark Casilius, headed to USS Gerald R. Ford. ETN 3 Stefan Cristobatalia, headed to USS Montana. I forgot that right. EMN 3 William Clark, headed to USS Hampton. Ensign Teresa Collins, headed to USS Nebraska. Ensign Taryn Cortez, headed to USS Seawolf. MMN 3 Zachary Cottingem, headed to ELT school and then to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. MMN 3 Abraham Cruz, headed to pre-commissioning unit, New Jersey. Ensign John Daly. EMN 3 Daniel Davis, headed to USS Charlotte. Ensign John Davis, headed to USS Florida. ETN 3 Noah Decker, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. Ensign Rahul Dekka, headed to USS Boise. MMN 3 Connor Deckreif, headed to USS Carl Vinson. Ensign Corinne Despain, headed to USS Rhode Island. Mr. Brendan DeVries, remaining at NPTU Charleston as an instructor. EMN 3 Alan Diaz, headed to USS George Washington. MMN 3 David Dolingel, headed to ELT school and then to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. EMN 3 Devin Durant, headed to USS Abraham Lincoln. Ensign Scott Ernie, headed to USS Cheyenne. MMN 3 Antonio Escandon Acosta, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. MMN 3 Ferez France. Don't have orders for him yet. MMN 3 River Freed, headed to ELT school, then to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. ETN 3 Warren Freeland, headed to USS George Washington. EMN 3 Clayton Freese, headed to USS Jefferson City. Ensign Benjamin Frick, headed to USS Charlotte. MMN3 Sharnice Gage, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. EMN3 Jonathan Galland, headed to USS Florida. MMN3 Chastity Gallagher, headed to USS Georgia. MMN3 Kane Ginter, headed to USS Oklahoma. MMN3 Adrian Gonzalez, headed to ELT school and to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. MMN3 Sergio Gonzalez Galvez, headed to USS George Washington. Ensign Garrett Grettinger, headed to USS San Juan. EMN3 Dean Grant, headed to USS Greenville. MMN3 Ian Gustitis, headed to USS Illinois. EMN3 Isaiah Jimfy, headed to USS Mississippi. MMN3 Anthony Hamilton, headed to USS George Washington. MMN3 Brandon Hardy, headed to USS Carl Vinson. Ensign Luke Harkins, headed to USS Montana. MMN3 Chase Harley, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. Ensign Stedman Harrison, headed to USS Helena. Ensign Matthew Heckman, headed to USS North Carolina. EMN3 Christopher Helmstetter, headed to USS Theodore Roosevelt. MMN3 Gavin Hawley, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. EMN3 Thomas House, headed to USS Nevada. MMN3 Gary Howard, headed to USS Springfield. Ensign John Hemme, headed to USS Pasadena. Lieutenant Junior Grade Jared Hunt, headed to USS Chicago. ETN-3 Michael Igo, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. EMN-3 Jacob Jackson, headed to USS Montpelier. MMN-3 Nicholas Jervis, headed to ELT school. Ensign Carolyn Johnston, headed to USS South Dakota. Ensign Chance Keegan, headed to USS Nebraska. MMN-3 Austin Keenseers, headed to USS Kentucky. Lieutenant Junior Grade Joshua Kim, headed to USS Mississippi. ETN-3 Lena Kim, headed to USS Carl Vinson. Ensign Noah Kirk, headed to USS Missouri. Ensign Jessica Kirk, headed to USS Santa Fe. ETNSN Logan Klausner, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. MMN-3 Aiden Kuhar, headed to USS Indiana. Ensign William Konetka, headed to USS Columbia. ETN-3 Tanner Cooper, headed to USS Maine. MMN-3 Seth Curdy, headed to USS Illinois. MMN-3 Braden Cuter, headed to USS Montana. Ensign Alasia Lang, headed to USS Ohio. BMN-3 Nathan Lay, headed to USS Maine. Ensign Do-Yun Lee, headed to USS West Virginia. MMN-3 Celeste Leach, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. MMN-3 Gunnar Lemming, headed to USS Harry S. Truman. MMN-3 Joshua Lopez, headed to USS John C. Stennis. EMN-3 Philip Lorman, headed to USS George Washington. MMN-3 Brandon Lowry, headed to USS Seawolf. MMN-3 Dale Lyon, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. MMN-3 Nicholas Macker, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. MMN-3 Seth Manning, headed to ELT school. MMN-3 John Mathis, headed to USS Carl Vinson. ETN-3 Tristan McCann, headed to USS North Carolina. ETN-3 Adam McGlone, headed to USS Missouri. ETN-3 Patrick John Madala, headed to USS Carl Vinson. EMN-3 Samuel Moon, headed to USS John Warner. Ensign McKenna Moore, headed to USS North Carolina. Ensign Nathan Moore, headed to USS Delaware. ETN-3 Owen Mukai, headed to USS George Washington. ETN-3 Eric Nozolik, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. Ensign Wesley Narachi, headed to USS West Virginia Gold. ETN-3 Michael J. Ongs, headed to USS Abraham Lincoln. MMN-3 Christina Orender, headed to USS Nimitz. MMN-3 Michael Pagliuca, headed to USS Boise. ETN 3 Dylan Pearsall, headed to USS Carl Vinson. Ensign Liam Pickett, headed to USS Columbus. EMN 3 Nathan Powell, headed to PCU District of Columbia. ETN 3 Casey Priest, headed to USS Vermont. ETN 3 Zachary Pridemore, headed to USS Montpelier. Lieutenant Junior Grade Madeline Prince, headed to USS Jimmy Carter. Ensign Thomas Podelic, headed to USS Alexandria. MMN 3 Eric Pulliam, headed to USS Jefferson City. MMN 3 Logan Randolph, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. MMN 3 Raheem Redway, headed to ELT school, then to be a junior staff instructor at NPTU Charleston. EMN 3 Logan Reynolds, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. ETN 2 Ian Robinson, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. ETN 3 Brian Robinson, headed to USS John C. Stennis. MMN 3 James Russell, headed to USS Alabama. EMN 3 Ethan Sadilla, headed to USS Alabama. MMN 3 Aya Samaha, headed to ELT school. MMN 3 Reese Shaman, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. EMN 3 Aiden Seaver, headed to USS George H.W. Bush. Ensign Jonigan Serrano. Come on, come on. MMN 3 Isaac Sizemore, headed to USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ensign Maya Solis, headed to USS Jefferson City. EMN 3 Dominic Sorensen, headed to USS Pennsylvania. Mr. Jeremy Spiker will remain at NPTU Charleston as an instructor. ETN SN Aaron Stecklow, headed to USS Tennessee Blue. ETN 3 Connor Stewart, headed to USS New Mexico. ETN 3 Carl Stork, headed to USS Nimitz. ETN 3 Connor Strickland, headed to Pre-Commissioning Unit John F. Kennedy. Ensign Alexandra Stewart, headed to USS Louisiana. MMN 3 Jonah Swift, headed to USS Theodore Roosevelt. Ensign Ethan Tay, headed to USS Toledo. Ensign Ryan Teuschel, headed to USS Key West. MMN-3 Chase Torla, headed to Pre-Commissioning Unit, Idaho. ETN-3 Damian Torres, headed to USS Ronald Reagan. Ensign Jacob Trevino, headed to USS Hartford. MMN-3 Austin Valdez, headed to Pre-Commissioning Unit, Idaho. EMN-3 Aiden Van Rice, headed to USS Henry M. Jackson. MMN-3 Justin Vega, headed to ELT School. ETN-2 Luis Villegas Origi, headed to USS New Mexico. MMN-3 Bridget Von Segern, headed to USS John C. Stennis. MMN-3 Jacob Wade, headed to USS Nimitz. Ensign Grace Westerhoff, headed to USS Michigan. MMN-3 Zachary Wheeler, headed to ELT School. Ensign Clara Winchell, headed to USS Washington. EMN-3 Wyatt Wazuri, headed to NPTU Charleston as a junior staff instructor. ETN-3 Landon Wright, headed to USS Topeka. Ensign Nicholas Zora, headed to USS San Juan. Please give a big round of applause for all of our graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing while Chief Robles delivers the benediction.
Now, O gracious Lord, as this graduation comes to an end and we prepare to leave this place, we ask that your loving presence go with us. When adversity comes to us as we attempt to stand our watch, be near us. When anxiety shackles our hearts and grips our minds, steady us so that as we look back in thanksgiving and forward to our future with abiding hope. We ask all of these things in your holy name. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, immediately following the ceremony, not just yet, we will do a re-enlistment ceremony on the fantail for a significant number of our sailors that just went across the stage. If you would like to be part of that ceremony, family, friends, please use the two passageway on either side here to come back, and we'll get that ceremony started as soon as we can. Once again, congratulations to all the graduates. Thank you, family, friends, and shipmates for being here. On behalf of the commanding officer, technical director, and site command master chief, I wish you all fair winds and following seas. NPTU Charleston, attention, dismissed.